Okay, so most of you guys have heard about ClawedBot and all the amazing things that it's able to do. So I wanted to just give my 2 cents on it. I feel like first of all, like a lot of people are saying, it's not secure, it's very hackable, and you don't want to put any give it access to any of your private data. Right. Also, it uses a lot of tokens, so it can be kind of costly actually to have it do anything of significance. Like if you wanted to write applications overnight or, you know, do a lot of grunt work for you, integration type work, it can get pretty costly pretty quick. I've seen some guys talking about spending $150 a day, and you know, not for a crazy amount of automation, to be honest. So, those are two major hurdles that I see for ClawedBot. Now, if you're not worried about the finances and you don't have private data that you want to use in automation, then I would definitely say use it, play with it, have fun, right? And then I would also say for folks that are surprised that you can run an agent on your machine and it can actually perform like machine type things. To me, that's not surprising. To me, this is the natural evolution that I saw coming. And honestly, I'm surprised that OpenAI hasn't done it already. You know, they had the operator thing almost a year ago, I think. And that was kind of the beginnings of just being able to say, hey, book some travel for me. And it browses the internet and kind of does some things. My guess as to why they're not as highly motivated to build something like this is that it's a model, or not a model, but it's an app that runs on your local machine, whereas they're primarily focused with providing a cloud service, right? I think they're going down the path of creating their own browsers and things like that can do very similar things, but it's a lot different when you give AI access to your PC and then install Python and maybe Node, some things like that, and say, hey, anything you need to build like from scratch, go ahead and just write your own Python code and make it happen. That's something that would be much more difficult to provide in a browser. Not impossible. So overall, I felt like this is where AI was headed. Giving AI tools access to your own hardware to do things for you, to do agentic things, is I'm kind of surprised that it took 3 years of open LLMs to get to this point. But should you use it? I wouldn't give it access to anything private. I wouldn't even give it access to your emails, or definitely not your documents, anything like that. And just know that just because it's open source doesn't mean it's free. You still have to use LLM tokens, and there are some cheap versions that work, but if you want it to be the best agent it can be, you might end up spending more than you want. Okay, so some ways you can kind of mitigate some of this is you could create another email account separate from the email account that you actually use, and then give it specific permissions to do things on your behalf. That could help a little bit, because your like Google account, for example, probably has a lot of access to some sensitive data, whereas you create ClawedBot email account in your like if you have a Google Workspace or something, let's say, create another account completely and just give that access to do the things that you want it to do. That's a little bit safer, and then it gives you a kill switch as well. You can just kill that account if something bad happens. But again, you got to be careful with what you grant access to that account as well, right? And then as far as the cost, you can use some like Gemini Flash. I think 2.5 is still maybe free. Double check on that. But there are some cheaper models that you can use that still do a really good job. So, don't spin this up and plug it into Opus 4.6 and let it run all night. You might wake up with a few $100s less rich. So those are my thoughts on it. I'm personally waiting. I know, like, it's inevitable. Google will release something like this soon. OpenAI, I think, is less motivated to do so. It seems to be more cloud driven, but they could set up their own environments, right, where you just spin up a VPS in their world and you're running these things. They could do that, and they might. I mean, having to go and buy a Mac Mini just to run this thing, first of all, is not something you have to do. You could just go and Google Cloud and get a really cheap VPS to run the ClawedBot. It'd be much cheaper than getting a Mac Mini. But it would be nice if Google or OpenAI, some other company, would just say, hey, don't even worry about spinning up your own server. We're going to automatically launch it for you, spin up ClawedBot, just plug in which model you want to use, and create connectors like you would in N8N, for example. Create credentials for everything you want it to access. And then it would be great if they actually created accounts that would act on your behalf instead of you having to put in your real world credentials. So that's what I'm waiting for, and my prediction is that Google is going to release something like this within 2 months. That's the hot take. I don't even know if that's that controversial. maybe a month. Let's see. So we're currently February 2026. Let's see if Google will push something out by March 13th. As soon as that happens, I'm definitely going to get it. I'm definitely going to start having it build some things, and I'll let you guys know how to do that and kind of how much it costs to do some basic things that everyone would find useful. So stay tuned.